Di tengah genosida rezim Zionis Israel yang kian gencar terhadap bangsa Palestina, rakyat Palestina tidak kehilangan harapan akan terwujudnya negara Palestina yang berdaulat. Berikut wawancara Yohana Margaretha dengan Perdana Menteri Palestina periode 2019-2024 Mohammad Shtayyeh.
Ya, saat ini saya sudah bersama dengan Perdana Menteri Palestina 2019-2024, Bapak Mohammad Shtayyeh. Good afternoon, Your Excellency, Mr. Mohammad Shtayyeh. Thank you for joining us on our program today. In light of the ongoing political dynamics in Palestine, it is undeniable that is a significant issue and a major humanitarian concern on the global stage. Your role as a Prime Minister over the past few years has placed you at the forefront of advocating for Palestinian independence. Naturally, your resignation earlier this year came as a surprise for the public. When you stepped down, you cited the unprecedented escalation in the West Bank and Gaza as one of the reasons. What truly led to your decision to resign, and what was happening behind the closed doors?
Well, look, first of all, I stayed in office for 5 years. And it's only normal that people leave after 4 years. Unfortunately, we did not have elections because Israel has vetoed our right to have elections in Palestinian territories, including Jerusalem. One. Second, of course, the Israeli escalation has made it impossible for the government to function. And the third, we thought that while we are approaching Gaza, we wanted a national unity structure. And in our government, we had 6 different political factions. I wanted to include Hamas and others. The resignation also came like months before the meeting that was supposed to be for all Palestinian factions meeting in Moscow. And I wanted to send a message and a signal that now is the time for all the Palestinians to be united under the umbrella of the PLO, under the auspices of the president, and that when we go to Gaza, we go as one unit, united, and so on. So
Did they catch the signal from
Unfortunately, no, they didn't. I mean, the president has been always pushing for this direction, and the opportunity has been missed. But after Moscow, we had another meeting in China for all Palestinian political factions. There was an agreement on a number of issues, including a national unity government and so on. So we are still working into that direction because Palestinians, while they are suffering under genocide acts by the Israeli government, we cannot continue to be divided. It's time for a Palestinian unity, and it's time for the Palestinians to be united.
On the other hand, Benjamin Netanyahu has proposed the establishment of a civil government in Gaza that is not affiliated with Hamas, Fatah, or even the Palestinian Authority. Some people view this as a form of new colonization. What is your perspective on this proposition?
I mean, it's not up to Netanyahu to decide who governs the Palestinian territory. Gaza is an integral part of Palestine, and Netanyahu, his approach and his strategy has all the time been to separate Gaza from the rest of the Palestinian territory, from the West Bank and Jerusalem, in order for him to destroy every possibility of a two-state solution, every possibility of a future Palestinian state. But nobody is playing in the hands of Netanyahu. Of course, he is saying, I don't want this, I don't want that. No way that we accept the approach of the Israelis, because the alternative is for Israel to continue occupying the Palestinian territory, and the Palestinians will be resisting that. It's not up to Netanyahu to decide who will be governing the Palestinians and who will not. That's not his business. It is our business. It is the business of our people. So therefore, for him to say that, it's just simply a jump in the air that is not going to take him anywhere.
What makes Netanyahu surrender?
International will, international pressure, and also the spirit of the Palestinians. Nobody is cooperating with him. He has been coming up with certain ideas that he wants local leadership in Gaza. Nobody has accepted to cooperate with him. He has been calling for international, certain regional powers to come and govern Gaza. Nobody is cooperating with him, so nobody is listening to him. Now Netanyahu is standing alone. Unfortunately, he can blackmail Washington, he can blackmail certain European capitals, but he cannot fool us.
Mr. Shtayyeh, you often emphasize the importance of Palestinian unity and reiterated that freedom fighters nonetheless is Hamas itself, despite being labeled as a terrorist organization by the West. Hamas are still part of the Palestinian people. What kind of unity are you hoping to achieve in Palestine?
Look, I mean, whether Hamas has been classified as a terrorist organization by Washington or not, Hamas for us is an integral part of the Palestinian political arena. Hamas is an integral part of the Palestinian mosaic. We disagree with them, but when Palestinians are slaughtered by the Israeli killing machine, Palestinians stand united. Our agenda is an independent, sovereign, viable state on the Palestinian territory occupied in 1967. That means Gaza, West Bank and Jerusalem as the capital of the future state of Palestine. This is our political goal that we are fighting to achieve. All Palestinian factions accept this, including Hamas. So there are quite a number of small issues that we need to settle.
The Israeli occupation is heavily supported by the U.S. and some Western military aid. What measures could be taken to pressure Israel and these Western allies to halt their support, especially the U.S., for what some consider genocidal actions against the Palestinian people?
Look, quite a number of measures are now underway. One, the Israeli government is standing trials in International Criminal Court. Israeli government is standing trials in International Court of Justice.
But Israel still consistent to their genocidal action. Even ICJ have the other.
You see, and that is where the problem is. United States is calling for a ceasefire at a time when United States is providing Israel with every machine gun, with bombardments, with killing tools, and so on and so forth. This is a real hypocrisy by Washington that has to stop. There is no way that you can call for a ceasefire, and when the Palestinians go to United Nations calling for a United Nations resolution to end the genocide that is taking place in Gaza, United States stands to veto this. This is something that should not and cannot continue to happen. But still, the court is independent. There is a lot of pressure to try to politicize the international court. The Attorney General has spoken very loud and clear, and now Netanyahu will be standing trial as a criminal, a prime minister who is committing genocide against the Palestinian people. So there is a lot of pressure on Congress, a lot of pressure by university students in Washington, the streets of Berlin, the streets of London, the streets of Paris. The international public opinion has fully shifted towards Palestine. Unfortunately, the governments are not listening. But I think certain governments have to listen, because that's the voice of people, that's the voice of reason, that's the voice of justice, and that is the voice of international law. If the international community has to agree to one thing, that's international law. You cannot have a double standard. International law applicable in Ukraine, but international law is not applicable in Palestine. That's something that nobody accepts. This double standard by Washington and London and Berlin has to stop.
One more last question about Netanyahu. Do you think he's the strongest leader in this world, or the weakest leader, and why?
Netanyahu is not a strong, is not a weak. Netanyahu is a criminal prime minister who should be standing trial. But Netanyahu is a smart criminal. He knows how to blackmail Washington. He knows how to blackmail London. He knows how to use his tools in order for him to lobby for his support. And he has eliminated all his political opposition in his own political party. And he looks as if he is the only strong leader. He is not. Look at the demonstrations against him in the streets of Tel Aviv and in the streets of Haifa and Jaffa and everywhere. Netanyahu is counting days. And I think he will go into the history books as a person who committed genocide against Palestinian people. And I hope he will be standing trial very soon because of what he has been doing. He is now rejecting a ceasefire because he wants to stay in power.
Okay. Okay, thank you so much. We hope for the best for Palestine. Thank you, Mr. Mohammad Shtayyeh, for the time and responses.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jelajahi cara baru mendapatkan informasi. Download Metro TV Extend sekarang.